Hey guys, Adam Bartomeo here with Bartomeo Realty. And for those that you don't know too much about me, I invested in a lot of properties over the course of like the last 12 or 15 years. I'm a huge fan of investing in real estate. I think it's the best avenue you can go to build wealth. And I'm going to talk to you today about some of the reasons why, which I call the trifecta, as well as some other things in there. But there's really the investing trifecta that we're going to talk about today that can really be lucrative for you, and why it's made so many millionaires throughout the years and continues to make people rich and wealthy with a very easy strategy that anybody can do. Lots of mom and pops do it. But anyway, so let's dig into it. We'll make this video a little bit quicker than it can be. So it's going to be surface level investing for you guys. So the trifecta: you have cash flow, you have appreciation, and then you have equity. Those are the three things there. So I'll explain a little bit. So cash flow is kind of like your profit. After everything is said and done, like you have a rental property, you're renting it for $1,000. After all the expenses are paid, everything is done, and you walk away with $100, that's your cash flow. That's cash flow. Profitability. It's really what it kind of equates to, kind of. Anyway, that's a key. Like when you're renting a property, you do not want to be negative, right? You always want to be positive. You always want to have some kind of cash flow. I always shop for $100 or more, right? Typically, I'd like to have around $500. $200 is pretty good per door, let's say, per rental. And then $300 to $500, like, wow, you're really banking some money there. But anyway, about $100 per door is what you want to get. Is okay, it's acceptable after all expenses are paid, and we're not going to go into the nitty gritty. Appreciation. Appreciation is what happens when prices go up. So as we're all aware, I'll give you an example. My grandparents bought their house for about $46,000 in Rosedale, Queens. And today that property's worth probably $700,000 from 40, because it appreciated. Over time, real estate goes up. There's a limited amount of real estate available. There's only so much land in the world. There is no more. You can't make land. It's there. And I know you say, oh, well, some people built islands and I got it. Okay, yeah. But it's a limited resource. Land is a limited resource, especially in certain communities like in New York City, where people want to live in that suburb or that borough or Manhattan, where there is no more space. It's an island. You can't get any more. That's it. And they have to build upwards. But that value, those properties appreciate in value. And then you have what's called equity. Equity is when you borrow money from a bank or a lender or whoever it might be, and then over time you pay it back because you're paying a mortgage, and then your equity in the property goes up because you're paying off that mortgage at that point, that loan. So you might have a $100,000 loan over the course of a year. So over the course of the year, you might pay that loan down by about $1,200. But over the course of time, you pay off that loan and you have equity now. Now you have that amount of money in that property. So over time, it happens. So let's bring it all together here. Oh, there's one other thing. Tax benefits. You get a lot of tax benefits through the government. The government needs housing. They want people to have houses. They want stability with houses and whatever, places for people to live. It is a necessity to have a place to live. So they give tax benefits for that. One of them is called depreciation, where it's a phantom, what they call a phantom expense. It doesn't really exist. They call it depreciation. And what that means is that over the course of time, the house will turn to rubble. From a brand new house, you leave it for 100 years, it's going to turn to rubble. Anybody who lives in the Northeast knows there's houses there for hundreds of years. If you ever visited Rome or if you visited Greece, there are still houses and apartment complexes that people use today that have been there for thousands of years. So it's more of a phantom expense. But anyway, there's a lot of tax benefits to real estate as well, which we're not going to get too much into. So let's give you a practical example. All right. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more as well. Cash flow. We have a property that the expenses are $1,000 a month, right? The expenses are $1,000. That's with your mortgage, with whatever you're throwing in there, electric, water, taxes, all that kind of stuff. What do you need to rent the property for? More than $1,000, right? Yeah, absolutely. More than $1,000. So let's say $1,100 like we talked about. So now we have $100 of cash flow, right? Well, at the same time, you're paying down your mortgage. There's two pieces to your mortgage, right? There's principal and there's interest, typically. Sometimes there's some other things in there. But typically you're going to have interest and you're going to have principal. Principal is what you pay back to that lender and say, hey, I'm going to give you this amount to go ahead and pay off that loan. The interest is what they say, we're going to keep that money because that's the cost of the loan. When you start out with about we'll call it $1,100, the $1,100 payment, it's only about $100 per month that goes towards that principal. But what that means is that that's $100 going into a piggy bank, is what I like to call it. A house is like a big piggy bank. Every time you pay off that mortgage, you're putting $100 away. $100 away, $100 away, and you can't break the piggy bank. The only way to break it is to sell it or refinance it. That's it. So every month you're making $100 that you're putting into the piggy bank. You get another $100 here right in your pocket, and you could spend that any way you want at that point. But now you have $200 per month of really kind of like cash flow. One's in savings, one's going in your pocket. Wow, that's pretty cool, man, that we're doing that. And over the course of time, that number goes from $100 to $200 to $300 up to $1,000, almost up to $1,000, about $999, somewhere around there, to where until you pay off the loan. So this number increases the longer the term of the loan. The second thing is, we'll call it 20%. You make a loan on a property, and we'll call it 20% is what you put down. So you have 20% invested in there. The appreciation is when the property goes up in value. So if that property goes from $100,000 to $200,000, how much appreciation do you get? Do you get 20% appreciation? You get 100% of the appreciation, even though you've only invested 20%. So an example, you have a $100,000 property, it goes up by, you've only put $20,000 into it, it goes up by $100,000. So now it's $200,000. You own 100% of that equity. You went from 100 to 200. That's $100,000. You invested 20%, $20,000. You just made a return on your investment of about 500%. It's pretty good. The appreciation part is the good part. But you have to have all three, because the appreciation, there's ups and downs in the real estate market. They're not huge normally, and they're not very long normally. But there are ups and downs. If you're cash flowing, that'll get you through the ups and downs, so that over time, the property will, guaranteed 100% in the United States of America, will appreciate, unless you're in some like kind of weird town like a Flint, Michigan, when the factories closed down and everything went belly up at that point. If you invest in a decent city where there is growth and where people are moving to a Florida, a Texas, a California, New York, guaranteed the property is always going to go up, on average about 6% per year. So again, $100,000 house, you invest $20,000 in, it appreciates on average 6%. That's $6,000 per year. In 3 years, just in appreciation, you've already made your entire investment back. Crazy how, and that's just in 1 year. Now let's say in Cape Coral, when I first moved here, we were 20% appreciation, right? There's areas of the country that are 20% appreciation. Well, 20% on $100,000 is $20,000. I make my money back in 1 year, not including the cash flow or the principal that we're putting in there, or the tax benefits. Crazy, absolutely insane. Anyway, that's been enough. I try to stay real surface level. A lot of information. Real excited about it. If you guys have any questions about investing, reach out to me. Facebook. Check me out on Bartomeo.com. YouTube. Email me. Call me. Text me. Whatever it is. Bigger Pockets. I'm an investor on Bigger Pockets as well. Anyway, have a great day, guys.